A road trip followed by back-to-back with travel and then a matinee. What'd you do to the basketball gods, Kenny?
It's just part of it. BJ was just saying how we this first 4 days out west. You were there. We were in the air 3 days out of the four. So it's just part of it. You got to. We're really preaching to the guys. Get your rest, get your recovery, get your you know take care of your bodies as well as you can. It's sounds corny, sounds like I'm like their dad, but that's really the reality of this when you're in a stretch like this.
In all seriousness, I mean, we talked about this maybe a month ago, how we don't maybe talk enough about the sleep aspect and the schedule aspect of what these guys do. Um, Decide not to have practice yesterday, give the guys like some time today before coming in. What's the thought process behind how important
Yeah,
that is as a coach?
we got a great performance staff, and we lean on them a lot. They two sports scientists that understand sleep studies and all that, and usually what they say makes sense. I mean, we didn't shoot around today, and it's just at this time of year it's less about strategy and scouting and more about how can we conserve as much energy and be ready to play a team like this who it's kind of like Portland, right? Young, and they're flying around and they're athletic and speed and all that. So we really prioritized getting our rest before this
Is
game.
that something that maybe changed your coaching philosophy? Like, you think you would have done that your first year in the league?
Listen, Rick Adelman, we literally, when I was with him, I never remember a recovery day, right? You just practice, right? Like, it's like after a back-to-back you'd have off, but otherwise you just practice every day. And then now it might be light, and he had a great feel, but you just it's just what you did. You came into work and you practiced, and maybe it was modified, but the league has really changed a lot.
Coach, you guys have two guys with knee injuries on the injury report today. Ty Jerome's questionable, and Jaden Tyson's with a bone bruise. Can you talk a little bit about Jaden Tyson's injury? Because we
Yeah.
haven't heard a lot about that one.
I think JT, he worked out today. He was on court this morning, and did fine. It was 1-0, so trending in the right direction. And Ty, I don't think it's anything long term. Just got banged up. Um, you know, I don't know. I anticipate him back soon.
So he's not going to play tonight.
Not looking that way. Not looking unless there's a miracle.
And we've talked a lot about how Tristan has played a role as the connector between the bench and the coaching staff. And he also is a guy that does post-game interviews and stuff. Do you feel like he could be someone that toes the line between coach and post-game or a broadcaster as such?
I think he's too smart to get into coaching. I think he can do whatever, right? He's set himself up nicely, and he could do front office for sure, and that's not just here with the Cavs. He could probably go anywhere. He's got that much respect in the league, and then he could probably take your job if he wants, and he could probably do the media thing or TV. He's just so multi-talented, and I was telling him, listen, that there's a reason he's lasted in the league for 14 years, and it's more than his play. Like, quite honestly, it's what a good teammate he is. How much he helps the coaching staff, how much he helps the organization. Like those are the guys that can really extend their careers, especially in a role player situation. So, man, he's been phenomenal for us, phenomenal for me I lean on him. In Portland game we were at, I turned to him. It was a substitution. We just. So what do you think? Keep with Dean or get him out, or we have those type of discussions. Who should we put in? And he'll give me, hey, put in Ice, and okay, definitely use him as a sounding board in game too.
Tom,
Yep.
Ken, you guys haven't had a ton of adversity this year, but this little rough patch here, and obviously you mentioned the schedule that plays into it. But is the silver lining that comes at this point in the season that allows you to kind of maybe regroup as you're heading down the stretch?
Yeah, and we kind of knew it was coming, right? We knew this stretch was coming. We almost could get ahead of it. But yeah, it's just I go back and forth. Is it better to have a trip like that early in the season? I don't we not sure because when you're a little dinged up and you're fatigued, it's a little harder to react. You know, and again, we prioritize rest over maybe film sessions and hey, let's get on the court and get better at this. I think if it was earlier in the season, we would have done that. So it's a little bit at this point is you got to take your lumps and then now how we're going to react with this 10-game stretch. We got to get through these 2 games, find a way. Then we'll have some time to get back on our routine.
There.
Kenny, what do you think is important to see from the team in the final 10 games of the regular season?
Stay healthy. There's stuff obviously you see how we're doing this and how we're strategizing this and keep our best players healthy and also get minutes for our guys that we're going to need in the playoffs, right? Get their rhythm and make sure they're getting sufficient minutes. Strategically, right now, I think we're pretty set. We pretty much know who we are. We kind of know how we want to play. But prioritizing, health and getting our rotation guys and potential rotation guys minutes.
And Donovan's three-point shooting has been pretty down recently. Obviously, he's missed a little bit of time with that groin injury management for it. How connected do you think those two things are?
I don't know. It's above my pay grade. You probably just have to ask him. I just err on the side because he never complains to me ever. I ask him, "How you doing?" Great, feel great. There's no, "Hey, it's bothering me," none of that. So it's hard for me to know. I know what he's communicating, but I just think it's like great hitters in baseball. They go through slumps. It's just what it is. No one's going to bat 400 all year or 390, 380. You just go through it. And there has been a tiny dip in his shot quality, not enormous, right? Not crazy, but a little bit. So you try to work to get better shots. I do know he's going to the free throw line more. Is that could we look into that a little bit? But listen. He's one guy. You have conversations with him, but he understands what he's got to do to figure it out.
Jim?
How does he look? I was going to bring up the free throw point too, because that would suggest that he's athletically able to get to the rim. How does he look? How does it look like he's moving to you?
I mean, kind of same as always. I haven't noticed a big dip. I did notice the uptick in free throws, and is that you'd have to talk to him. Is that a little bit strategy? Hey, later in the season, I'm trying to get to the line a little more. And then it's funny you say, well, there's been a little bit of dip in shot quality. It's also like, well, when you're missing, you try other things, right? You're not just going to keep missing the same shot, and so maybe there's a little more of, hey, can I create something more? Can I create something more to the rim? But I'm more kind of blasé about it and more like, listen, just keep taking the great shots you've taken all year. We love your off the dribble three. Like, keep doing that, and do not back off, right? Like all of a sudden I'm going to take 5 shots less a game. You got to kind of swing your way out of the mini slump and keep shooting it.
To your point about conversation about rest, how much of injuries is within an organization's control versus luck?
Oh man, I again way above my pay grade. Way above my pay grade. I do think, it's a topic. It's a real topic amongst us. But I think it's part of my job to help guys stay healthy. I think obviously I communicate intimately, intensely with our performance staff, and they we bounce things off. I don't know what luck versus. I do know the soft tissue stuff is they say preventable, right? That one is. So it's a constant we're at it all the time because I just said to Dan, like, we got our number one goal is to keep these guys healthy. That's a huge advantage if we can go through these playoffs with a healthy roster.
Hey Kenny, I know this isn't new or anything, but when did you really find yourself buying into sports science?
Oh man, I think it was my job with the Knicks when I started turning. I think we were one of the first teams to hire a sports scientist. We had two British gentlemen that I worked with, and man, they showed me all the data, and I really, as an assistant coach, and I used it for player development, right? Like, hey, I'm working with Jeremy Lin, post practice, what's the ideal load for? I didn't even know about load and that stuff, and then I just started, combining the two, what I was going to do with the player on court with their input, in terms of load management, even during practice and development sessions. And I was just fascinated by it. Like, man, if we can get this all working together, I thought that was really gonna help the development, piece take off. And I credit, my understanding of the performance side and my understanding of the basketball side. Like, I almost give like equal credit to those two in terms of helping players develop and helping teams develop. And I do think that's a unique approach. I think it's changing more with coaches. Some coaches are you're just in the basketball realm, and you have this incredible piece that can help you coach guys better and develop guys better.